Hello, in this video I will show you the teacher and student view of the nearpod lesson we just created on Google Slides. So here I have launched my nearpod lesson. On the left you see the teacher view. You can tell it's a teacher view because we have the blue and white arrows here. That shows that the teacher can move forwards and backwards within the lesson. The students, however, are not able to do that on the live session. The teacher is controlling the slides. Now, a couple things before we get started. You'll want to note that at the very bottom, you have a number of students that are participating in your nearpod lesson. If you are launching this live lesson via Zoom, you want to make sure that the number of Zoom participants matches the number of nearpod participants. Something else to note is the code will be displayed at the very top left-hand side of your screen. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to begin the nearpod lesson. We have our check-in here, and students are able to see that as well. And the first nearpod activity we inserted was a poll on how they are feeling. So let's say I'm the student here on the right. I'm going to select a 3. And I'm going to submit. Okay, it lets them know that their answer has been submitted. And on the teacher side, you can see that your student demo, has submitted their response. You can also select to share that response with students, the poll results. So here I'm going to share the poll results. We had 100% of our students indicated that they were feeling a 3. All right, then you can unshare, or you can just select to move on. So here we go. We are now into our title slide, our learning targets and standard, and our agenda for the day. So let's go ahead and get started with the warm-up. Something to note on the student side is you'll want to invite students to click on this icon here. This is a notepad. Once you select the notes, then it will be prompted to choose a method to save your notes, either via email, save to Google Drive, or to OneDrive. I'm going to go ahead and select Save to Google Drive. It will prompt students to select which Google Drive they want to save it to. I'm going to select my LAUSD account. Select Allow. Now I am able, as a student, to type any notes here, and those notes will follow you throughout the presentation. They can click on the icon again to hide that feature. On the top, you'll also see the immersive reader feature. I will go ahead and talk a little bit more about that in the next few slides. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So remember, this was the activity where we are asking students to find the value of each expression mentally. And we inserted an open-ended question following that warm-up. We have prompted students to explain the strategy they use to solve 24 divided by 1/4. As you'll see, I am able to type my response or select to audio record my response. So I'm going to go ahead and just type test, and I'm going to submit. If a student is selecting to record audio, which we highly encourage, it will prompt students to to access the microphone, to allow nearpod to access the microphone. So once they have done that, they should be able to record their audio response. Now, the immersive reader is here. It is available. If students were to click on that, then it opens up this window where we can do a read aloud.
Explain the strategy you used to solve 24 divided by 1/4.
Students will also have the option to increase the text size, to increase the spacing, the font, themes. If they click on grammar options, you also have the option to highlight nouns, for example, a certain color, verbs, adjectives, and so forth. Separate the syllables. If you select reading preferences, it can have a line focus as students are reading. You can also translate into various different languages here. I'm going to go ahead and exit out and go back to my nearpod slide. All right, so I'm going to submit my response. Again, they get some feedback that it was submitted. And on the teacher side, you'll see that my response, my test, is here. You will note that the participation for your class is also displayed here. So you only have one student, and since I participated, we have 100% participation for this activity. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. We get into our lesson activities. And if you'll recall from the previous video, we did insert a draw it on this slide here. Okay, as a student, I am reading here that I need to review the statements and circle those that correctly describe the situation that was introduced in the previous slide. So I'm going to select to use my pencil. You can select whichever color you would like, and then I'm going to randomly select an option here. And when students are ready, they can select submit. Students do not need to submit in order for you as a teacher to view their responses. As you can see, I can already see that student demo is working on this particular activity. Once I am ready to submit, I'm going to go ahead and click submit. Okay, and on the teacher side, you will see this turn into submitted. It is no longer in process. The student has submitted their response. Again, you can select to share student responses. If you have multiple students joining your session, then you can select which response you would like to share or in which order you would like to share. Once I'm done sharing, I'm going to close this box and I'm going to move on to the next slide. And you will continue until the end of your lesson. Once you are done with your lesson, you can simply get to the last slide or wherever you're at, and you can click on nearpod and end session. You will be prompted to select whether or not you're sure that you want to end the session, and it will let you know that this will end the session for all your logged in students. So I'm going to go ahead and select yes so that you can see what students will see on their screen. Okay, so here the session has ended for me as a student, and all they can do is select OK or close. And then here on the teacher side, it will launch you back to your nearpod lesson library, and you can select to run your reports for this particular lesson if you would like to. Thank you for watching.